Hey guys, James here, and welcome to the next installment on my channel here at Forex Journey with James. Now, this week's episode, I'm going to go into this trade here, in which we banked 5.29%, a touch over 4 hours. And what I'm going to do is break this down from the higher time frames all the way down, explaining my thought processes, what we were looking at on the charts, and how we got into and managed the trade. So without further ado, I'm going to get into it here. Now the way that I'm going to break this down is I'm going to mark up the charts accordingly and break them down. So starting here on the daily, so price was originally coming down in this downtrend. We had the start of the changing character, pushing price to the upside. We attempted to break here, but then we pushed down, taking some liquidity out of these lows before we then got the rapid expansion and the confirmation that the trend was changing upwards. So this here is essentially a key area at the moment that price is likely to be drawn to. Now shifting over to this side, we can see that price had again formed a slight downtrend. We then turned, pushed up, and again we're now working our way back down. Now price has taken out a few key levels here and here as it is making its way down towards here. So at this point in the week, so this was up to and including Tuesday, where we can see that price had been moving down, but creating these small wicks on the bottoms of the candles here as well, indicating that price is slowing down since we've had this break with momentum, where we do have some imbalance here between this candle's low and this candle's high. There is just nothing but sellers that have been involved in here. In terms of our expectations, we are looking to see price being drawn down towards this level here, but it's whether price continues to push down to this level or whether price wants to come back up and rebalance this area before then pulling down, or whether price wants to still continue into this area of interest denoted here by this slight push down before the pullback up and the break of this low here, before then potentially continuing down further, or even yet as to whether pulls back to this extreme level before again pushing down to this area here. So this is our expectation from the daily, that we are expecting a potential pullback, but it doesn't have to do so. Price can continue to make its way down here, or we could see price pull back certain areas before then continuing. So we're going to drop down to the 4 hour now. Here we can see in this particular area, this was at the start of the week, areas that we were looking at here. So if I just come off to the left here, we can see that prices, this is the daily area that we had marked out on the 4 hour, and we can see that price had essentially paused and consolidated in this area before having this strong push up. Price then pulled back, stalled again before this rapid expansion up with momentum here, and we never traded back down into this area here. So we're expecting that when price does return to these levels, that we're expecting to see some sort of a reaction from them. So looking here at current price on the H4, we can see that we had a changing character here on the 4 hour, where it's broken down with momentum here. We've had this little stall in price before we've taken out this key area here, and we can see that we attempted to push down, broke through with a wick initially. Price has come out and manipulated these local highs here before then continuing. Again, it's just pulled back up into that range, and then we've had that big sell-off here. So this is a key area of interest as well. This is the daily rebalance that we were looking at earlier here. Prices then tapped down into this H4 area of interest, where it's tapped in with a wick We've had a reaction out of it, but nothing with momentum. If I just zoom in a little here, we'd had nothing with momentum reacting out of this area of interest, so we're seeing this as a reaction area essentially. So prices pull back, and then we've continued to push down. We've broken this low, but we've only been able to do so with a wick, and again price is all balanced on the way down, just trickling down into this lower area of interest. We've pierced that with a wick and then pushed back up, just tapping into this extreme level of the previous break here, before then breaking the low with a wick, again indicating that we're struggling to push and continue further, that price is exhausting itself on the way down, indicating to us that we're more likely to see this shift to turn the 4 hour to the upside. Now on Wednesday, which is when I took the trade, this is the London candle, so the 7 a.m. candle for me here, which would be the 6 a.m. start, would have closed at 10 a.m. so end of London. This is where price was on the 4 hour. Now what can we see here on the 4 hour is that we've broken this low with this wick, we've rejected that low, price has then attempted to push down, we've pushed higher here, and again we've just kind of ranged in this area here as denoted with the wicks to the downside and also wicks to the upside. But this next candle really gave me a nice idea that this could be the start of the shift towards the upside. But what we can see here is that price did push down. It broke this local low here on the H4, obviously not the main low, but just an internal inside bar here. It's broken the low of this with a wick. It's then pushed up with momentum and completely engulfed this candle. So at this point here, it was giving us an indication on the 4 hour that price is likely to kind of push through this area, and would be expecting price to, come above these highs here, tap into this imbalance and potentially reach this daily rebalance, or whether ultimately where we'd be aiming for up to this H4 area of interest here before reacting. But as we have this daily level here, we're fully aware that price could just tap into this and reverse quite strongly from there. It's a reaction point that we'd be expecting to see from a time frame that's higher than the direction that we're using, so we want to be monitoring around this area. So next up we have the M15, and what I've done here is we can see in terms of this, we've got the H4 point of interest further up here. We have this big sell-off here, which has created this is the daily rebalance level here. Price is then pushed down. We've had a bit of a stall in the London session here. Price is then pushed down and given us this whole sort of consolidation period where price has been reacting off these areas and pushing down. Coming into more recent price, so we could see this was Tuesday afternoon. You can see that price broke this 4 hour with a wick, and prices then just ranged around through Asia. And when it came to the morning of the or afternoon of the trade, what could we see? We could see that price was stalling and struggling to push down. We've then broken this H4 low with a wick, and prices expanded pretty rapidly to the upside. Again, we've struggled to push back down. We've been walking back down essentially here, creating this zigzag pattern. We're then pushing up with momentum. We've tried to pull back, and again we're pushing up with momentum showing here. Now price has just taken out this local high before then having a sell-off, and this was approaching Frankfurt session here, so just prior to London. So this is 7 a.m. UK time, so 8 a.m. for me here. And what can we see? Price had taken out these local lows and the Asian session low, has taken the Asian session low, rejected that, and pushed up again with momentum here. Slight pause before then pushing off with some momentum. We've taken out the Asian session highs here and any resting liquidity that would have been above these local highs, and you could call that either relative equal highs, double top formation. Price has just taken that out with a wick. So at this point I wasn't really looking for a trade entry to get long, say from this area or down low. If price came from there, it's likely we could have seen a further range. What we did see though is that price pushed down. We had this stall in price denoted with these wicks here. Price had attempted to push down, couldn't sustain it again. Tried to push down, couldn't sustain it. We then did push down lower, but then what happened next was that price came down low, swept these highs, lows. So what we had here is price pushed down, created this wick low, and pushed back up. We tried to push down lower again, couldn't do that, engulfed this candle. Price pushed a little higher and then again attempted these lows, couldn't quite get there, and this next candle pushed down, breaking this low and then pushing back up. We then had this momentum push here. So this for me was a lovely candle and exactly what I looked for and what I've mentioned previously. But we've had this sweep of the local lows before we've pushed. We've broken structure, although this is internal structure. We have broken structure and we've left momentum here. So from the high of this candle to the low of this candle, this is all imbalance, which is meaning that there's just buyers in the market. It's not been offered to sellers at this point. So there is an imbalance in the market. So we know that price is likely to come back to here, but price has essentially swept these lows, taking the liquidity here locally, and then pushed up and broken structure. So this for me is a golden area that I'd be looking to trade from. So this area here is just coming into the London lull. So London's finished and price is just ranging around after we've had this momentum push. So it's likely coming into New York time that we're likely to see price want to seek some liquidity before then giving us the move. So price is ranged. We can see we've just taken out this high here with a wick, which would mean we've now got a triple top forming here, and we've also got resting liquidity beneath this area here. So we can see here that price has been ranging around in the London lull, so we'd expect coming into New York that we're likely to see it kind of hunt for some liquidity before then giving us a real move. So we can see price has just taken out this high and now formed this almost triple top essentially. We've pushed down, breaking the lows here, but couldn't sustain that. We haven't been able to close below, so it's just swept some liquidity and we're approaching New York. We can see that price is coming in, and again we've swept the lows here. Now we get the push up with momentum after we've continued to sweep these lows, and we're now pushing up with momentum. So you could argue that this could be a potential area that you would want to be getting involved with, but we still have liquidity resting above here, and I'm still interested in this area to be trading out of. Now, as you'll know, or as I've mentioned in other videos as well, is that we essentially look at trading from the 0.25. So using the Fibonacci tool, you've got the 0, the 1, you can see the halfway point marked here. We take our trades based off the 0.25, and I always set my entry one tick above, and I have my stops just below. So this was a 7 pip stop. How I was looking at this is I can see that we were just building and tapping into the area as the whole, but we're leaving these wicks below, and we still had these triple tops here where price is likely to take the liquidity from there, push down and take out any early sellers that are trying to get in from this level here, tapping into the real area of strength before then getting a push out. So this is what I was expecting to happen at this point in time. I am aware that it is potentially risky because at this point the H4 is still technically down. What we're trading here is the anticipation that price is likely to break out of this area given the factors that we've already discussed from the higher time frame. So coming into it here, we can see that price is now taken out this area and swept through any resting liquidity from anybody trying to sell from these areas. Price is now attempting to push down, but what really got me here was the wicks that were showing to the downside here was indicating that although price is trying to push down, it's not doing so with momentum. You can't see any gaps in price here, that it's indicating that we've had a momentum shift after taking this liquidity. So this is likely to just be the liquidity hunt. So this gave me, this candle here essentially gave me the confidence to be able to place the trade from here, expecting price to go higher. And there we go, tapped into the trade. So our entry was at 302 and the low of this candle came down to 299. So literally 3 ticks of drawdown before we've then rejected from that area, and we'd like to see a nice little push. So first area we're going to be looking to see what happens, and because we are still counter trend at this moment in time, until we break this, essentially we'd be looking to see a break of this high, and once it does so, we will lock in our trade to break even. So you can see here we do just break this high. It's only with a wick though, and indicating that possibly now that we've broken this high here, that this could be a liquidity hunt, to then indicate that we could see potentially lower prices before then getting a sharper push up. So as soon as this broke, with this being counter trend from the entry point and with us having areas lower that has also taken liquidity, it means that there was potentially areas where price could be drawn to before then seeing a push and higher prices. So once we'd broken that, knowing that price could come lower than where my stop was, and it being counter trend at the entry point, I'd have been straight to break even, and I was straight to break even. So with that, I would lock it in at 7 ticks above, so it'd be 308. So my stops would be locked into here. The reason why I do it 7 ticks above is it just factors in the commissions for entering a trade. So if price comes down to there and takes me out at this level, essentially it is 0 rather than having a loss showing on the account. But this was the trade entry, and in terms of target, as I mentioned, we'd be looking to see price reach up to this level. So we're looking around 9.8% for the trade. Now I do only ever take 1% risk on a trade. I'm not looking to take 0.1 or looking at partials. It's full 1% risk, so it's either going to be a full 1% loss, or we're heading up towards profit target. In this situation, because we're counter trend, again, I am going to manage it more aggressively, so we're therefore at break even on this trade. Now, what am I expecting here? So in terms of this, I'd be expecting that price could come up to this level here and take out the liquidity resting above these highs. We could either see a small reaction and price continue higher, or we could see a deeper move, but we'll have to monitor price as it does take out this level. The next level, again, is this area of consolidation that we can see here. The price may tap into here. Again, give us an indication that price could be turning, again, just to seek lower prices before then continuing the trade. But ultimately, we'd want to see it head up to here. So just going to mark out this area here. And we'll continue on. So price is now taken out this area, and we can see that we've closed well above it with a nice solid body close, which is great to see, but we want to see how price reacts after this. Okay, so we've quite clearly pushed on past this, so we know this is safe, it's not looking to reject from this area. So we're just going to remove that. But we're now into this M15 point of interest. So this is now where I'll be watching. We're pretty close to target. So target 68.7 pips. We're 23 pips away from it roughly at this moment in time. And so we can see prices tapped into this. And so looking at it from a standpoint, I wouldn't be looking to short from this because we have now broken this H4 high. So the direction on the H4 is now changing to up. And so we can see that we have tapped into the 0.25 before then prices started to give us this pullback here. So it is indicating that we are seeing a potential reaction out of this area. So I'm going to be monitoring this very closely. Okay, so price has pulled down. We've then had this following candle here pull lower, giving us an apex here, and we've again pushed through to that. So we're waiting to see, do we break? So we do break this high. So at the point that price pushed up and broke this high, our low on the M15 would have pushed up to this area. So this low, this apex here, when price broke up here, our apex was here and our low would have essentially moved to there. Meaning that where we've rejected from breaking this high, if price was to now break this low here, it would indicate that change in character on the M15, meaning that price could then begin its way and its journey further down again to get lower prices. Now, it may not have to do that. It could come down low just to kind of take some liquidity before then heading higher, or it could range around, take some more liquidity and then push up. But for me, and in terms of this trade, because we know this is a potential reaction area and we were approaching close to the target area, what I'd done as well, as we were 8:45, so that's quarter to 8 UK time, so we are getting close to spread hours as well. I don't necessarily want to be holding through the night, especially with it being a Wednesday as well. So the spread hours on a Wednesday are obviously going to give you triple swaps as well. So ideally, don't want to be holding overnight on a Wednesday, but if I have to, I have to. So I essentially, for this, had moved my stops to here, which was just a short distance below this apex low here. And the following candle did then come and take us out. So yeah, that was it. Done at that point. Nothing further to do. So that took us out. Shows here 5.43%. I think with the commissions and everything, I think it works out roughly 5.29%. That is how we trade at FTR. So if you want to learn more or you're interested in joining, then by all means click the link in the description below. be more than welcome into the community. It is an amazing space and some really fantastic traders in there. But yeah, that's it for this trade recap. I'm just going to kind of play price forwards through here so we can see how price did develop once I had exited the trade. So this is what we had forecasted previously when we were entering the position, and why we managed it to break even much quicker is that it was at the entry point counter trend. We did then have the changing character on the 4 hour, but we knew that price could look to retrace back down to deeper levels, which you can see it has done, and we've come back down to this area and tapped and reverse out of it. Now, I didn't have a pending order set on this one, but it looks like it would have been a very nice trade to have. Now, this would have been on the higher end of risk for this, which is why I didn't have a pending order set on this one through the night. But I mean, this is current price as well, so you'd actually be running at 8.14% on this. The highs up at 9.36, but essentially if you had set a pending order on that, you'd be running 8.26% on that currently. But you can see here that even though this move has happened, I'm not concerned about it. There are so many trades that do happen, and it is one of those that price does move in certain ways. Obviously there's going to be increased levels of risk to trades that you may want to take, trades that do work out in this manner. As you can see there, it's something earlier on in this video I had said that we could expect to see, and price has come down and tapped into that area. But yeah, we will see. I do expect that we could or should see price trade higher up to this area at least before we do see a bigger push. But I'd like to think that we may head higher up to this area and give us a way to look at getting short in the next week or so. But we will see. We will just react to price. But yeah, that gives you an overview of how the strategy works. As I mentioned, if you do want to get involved with the FTR community, then I'll leave the link in the description below. Fantastic community with amazing traders, and yeah, it's where I am for the long haul. Really enjoying the journey of learning. Like, yes, I do still make mistakes. I'm still learning myself and still brush into a couple of trades, but I feel like I've got a good understanding of the strategy. It is now just a case of kind of executing, really. But fantastic trade here. Happy with the result of that, and we'll keep on pushing and continuing to grow with it. But thank you for sticking around if you managed to make it this far, and I will catch up with you all soon. Thanks for your time.